not the right channel? All right, we are live now. Or I'm live. Jacob hadn't made it here yet. I can't figure out why it's not going to my TV like it's supposed to. It's a minor thing, but I've gotten to where I prefer that. Two. No. It should be 30. And it's like it doesn't even notice. Oops, that's the wrong one. We're live, by the way.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
I know this.
I just wanted to make sure you knew we were live.
Yeah.
I don't know why Jacob's running late.
I'll talk to you later.
Were you drawing?
No. Talk to.
A friend. we'll say.
Yes.
I think I understand what you mean.
Well, not that. No.
No?
No.
You weren't talking to a friend?
No. Well, I was maybe talking to a friend about a dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah. One of those
Gotcha.
things.
Well, for reasons I don't understand, it's not showing up on the TV.
Weird.
I can't get that thing to go. So for now, I'm just going to have it up here.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Interesting.
It'll probably go in the middle of the show and it'll surprise us. Hey, Steph, how are you doing? She's in our Twitch chat.
Oh.
Who's this?
Artsy Steph.
Archie Steph. Hi, Steph.
Yeah, Artsy Steph. Whew.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's almost like it didn't detect that I changed the channel. 4, which should be the PlayStation, which is going off right now. Oh, wait, hang on. When in doubt, reboot. This won't affect y'all, just me.
Got it.
1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, 4, 1000, 5, 1000, 6, 1000, 7, 1000, 8, 1000, 9, 1000, 10, 1000.
There it goes.
There we go.
Oh.
I can scoot that over there.
There we go.
So anyway.
Yeah.
And Josh is here.
Hey, Josh.
It's been a while, buddy.
Yeah.
We missed you. We really did.
Yes, agreed.
as our most constant supporter,
Right.
and we hadn't seen you in a while, I was starting to get worried.
Yeah, it'd be like, I understand life gets in the way. Totally get it.
Indeed. So yeah.
Ugh. Ugh. I just want to go to sleep.
Oh, don't go to sleep. We got a 2-hour show. to get
Yeah,
through.
that's right. We do.
Oh me.
What did we give ourselves into?
Hey, this whole thing was your idea.
That is true.
Technically.
Yeah, that's true. So you can blame it all on me. You can blame it all on the ADD.
I blame it on the ducks.
The ducks?
Yes. The ducks.
Wah.
Specifically the ones that don't heal me in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, then.
Anyway,
He's what I understand, he's a terrible spellcaster or healer.
he would do better if he would just do his job.
True.
I'm just checking audio.
Got it.
Of course, if I actually talk into my mic, it might work.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we're good. We are good.
Yeah. So
and PaulJPowers.com is here.
nice. Hey, Paul.
How's it going? We're about to get started here in just a couple minutes.
Yes. On Blue Sky Studios Epic.
Surprisingly, not the movie I thought it was. But does that mean it was good?
True. Was it Epic?
Spoiler
or was it a
alert!
flop? Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Was it what I thought it was? That didn't make it any better.
Ah, okay. Ooh, that's going to make things different, interesting because we're having a reverse again.
Oh, okay then.
Ugh. Yep. So yeah, guys, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. I was running a little late. I'm not going to get into, just nature called. Let's say that.
You're supposed to go like before you get ready to come over.
Yeah, but every time be like, yeah, when the doctor calls, you answer.
See, this is why I just take care of that business like 30 minutes ahead of time, whether I feel the need or not.
Okay.
But you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
I'll
Just be aware. I will go with 7:30 hits. I will go live whether you're here or not.
Okay, then.
Like I did today.
Yeah, exactly. I was only like, what, 2 minutes late? A minute late? Maybe.
I was just over here watching Riff Tracks clips until you got here, but then I had to go live and shut all my Riff Tracks off, and then the stupid TV wouldn't switch over.
Very true. Oh my gosh. So yeah.
Josh wants to know what Ace Ventura 2 has to do with anything.
It's been a very long time since I've watched that movie.
The subtitle is When Nature Calls.
Oh, that's right. It be none of your business, Josh.
Let's just say that the ocean's a little bit bigger tonight.
Oh my gosh. Smack. Paul Will Smith. Pa!
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're gonna get started very shortly. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, I think it's available on HBO Max right now.
HBO Max is where I watched it.
Yes.
It's for some reason not on Disney Plus yet.
Yeah. Due to the licensing issues, apparently.
That's my assumption.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it there. Unless you have a copy of it somewhere, go watch it there. And then come back and listen to us rant for an hour and a half on this movie.
I don't know if it'll be that bad a rant.
Rant, positive talk, middle, whatever.
We'll get there when we get there.
Exactly.
Also, right after we record our review of Epic, we will be recording our reviews of the next 2 episodes of season 2 of Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, which are forgotten the names again. The Return of Quaid and Goodbye and Goodwill.
Well, yeah.
Those are the 2 episodes we're reviewing today.
They just can't get out of a town quick enough, can they?
Well, thankfully, at the end of this one,
Yeah.
as long as 2 certain goobers don't keep antagonizing the sneeze weasels.
Oh, gosh. Lance.
Anyway.
Yes, anyways.
Deela, are you active tonight?
Hopefully. Good.
Yes, she is. Good. Awesome. So, how are y'all guys?
Yeah.
Just giving it a couple more minutes for people to get in and we'll get started.
Wow. Wow.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Exactly.
Something's going down and it burst our bubble. Come on. I don't think that's how that song goes, but
No.
anyway. Josh is stressed and depressed. Well, I'm sorry, Josh. We hope you get to feeling better.
Yeah, depression's not fun. Stress isn't fun either.
No, stress is never fun.
No.
No, this is not a song I'm whistling about myself. Because I actually do have a brain.
I would hope so.
Now, Jacob over here.
Hey! That's it. Try.
Oh, me. Oh, me, oh, my.
Exactly. I'm still trying to figure out the pun from this movie.
Oh. I already got yours.
Okay.
Oh, Josh, I'm sure you do have a heart. He says he's more like the Tin Man. He doesn't have a heart.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
The heart is fickle.
Sometimes that which hurts most is what we have the most of.
True. Very, very true. Wise words.
I'm guessing.
You're guessing.
I mean, I know Josh from this interaction, but
Right.
I don't know Josh.
Right.
So I'm assuming it could be a very educated assumption, but it's still an assumption.
Right.
Also, my apologies for doing so much clipping last week. Because I was too close into the mic.
Yeah, because sometimes he's way out here, that he's way up there.
I'm trying to be better about it. So hopefully I'm going to sit in this position all night with just quick looks over here and then back. Dude, having a big heart, Josh, is actually a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. It is.
Just got to guard your heart from time to time.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
At this point, we're waiting on Jacob to give me the go-ahead.
Yeah, I would say go.
You got a pun?
Yeah.
Okay. Deal it. Give us a start.
The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who's excited as a three-legged puppy running in circles. Welcome, Jacob.
Oh, why, thank you. Let me just introduce our co-host, a man who, just is trying to get with the girl, and he realized she's a slug. Welcome, Drew.
A slug?
Yeah. A slug.
He was a stomper, not a slug.
No, the slug was trying to get with the girl.
I'm the slug?
That's the only thing I can think of, man.
I'm not sure if I should be taking this personally or not.
Don't take it personally, then.
Anyway, how are you doing, Jacob?
I am doing much better. Thank you very much.
Oh, I hope so. You were running a little late.
I was running a little late. It's been pretty good. Yesterday was kind of stressful. I think it was a lot of me putting a lot of things on myself, but could be some other little factors. But other than that, it's been pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good. Mother's Day was last weekend, so happy late Mother's Day to all those wonderful mothers and grandmothers and single mothers and adopted mothers. Yeah, been pretty good. I spent the weekend with my parents and hung out until like Sunday afternoon, then drove back and then relaxed and chilled out.
Well, there you go.
How about you?
I did okay. We visited my parents over the weekend for Mother's Day, of course.
Mhm.
So yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's just been kind of a slow week.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. Before we get into what we've been watching, we do have our trivia question for this week.
Yes.
Which was, in Epic, who are the Leaf Men modeled after? Do you know the answer, Jacob?
I believe it's Samurai.
You are indeed correct. It is Samurai. And I'm glad you knew the answer because you want to know who didn't?
Who?
The entire Cell Nation, because they didn't answer this question.
Oh, well.
Come on, guys. At least give me a wrong answer. Be funny. Anyway, doesn't matter. With that, well, it does matter. We do want interaction. Don't get me wrong there. But yeah, it's all good. So
And there again, be like, probably most people have never heard of this film.
I remember it being advertised a lot
Yeah.
when it was coming out, but yeah, I'll admit it's probably been a while, and most people probably have never heard of. Most people already don't remember this one.
Probably.
It's not like Rio that actually was nominated for an Academy Award.
That is true.
For best music
Mm-hmm.
and lost to the Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So,
Or in this case, the puppet sings.
indeed. So, Jacob, what have you been watching?
All right, so I am continuing to watch Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very interesting show, to say the least. It's recommended. Yes, it is a lot of fun. It is kooky, crazy, entertainment fun, and I'm curious where it's leading. I could see maybe some plot threads are kind of dropping here and there, but
Yeah.
it's getting pretty good. It's on Disney Plus for those you don't know. Other than that, we did the 2 episodes for TAS, which we're going to review later this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a certain little film that came out over the weekend, not a really big deal. Something called Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
The Multitude of Madness.
Multitude of Madness.
That's nearly what you said.
I did.
But yes, we both saw Now I'm doing it.
Thank
We
you.
both saw Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
But not together.
No.
We saw it separately, but
Yes.
that's okay.
It was all good. And plus we did a
We have recorded a Patreon episode that will be going up sometime later this week. So patrons, keep an eye out for that.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's all. I remember.
Oh, and if you want to join our Patreon, just go to patreon.com/cellcast.
And join in the fun there.
Indeed.
So I think over the weekend my parents primarily turned on. It was like, what are those fix houses, fix community things?
On this episode of House Hunters,
something like that.
he is a butterfly collector and she sells moist towelettes. Their budget is $50 million. Will they be able to find a home in New York City?
Highly doubt it. Yeah, you have this budget. We've got this budget. You'll never be able to pay this house
I was
off.
pointing out the fact that that most of the people who have jobs in there have way bigger eyes than they have budgets.
That is true. Oh my gosh. And a lot of veterinary shows, which I've never been a fan of. It's like, You feel ow, sympathy for the dog. They got ran over by the car, and it's like ow.
I just had a song go through my head. Don't worry about me.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm looking over my dead dog Rover, who I hit with the power more.
Oh,
One leg is missing, the other is gone. The third leg is scattered all over the lawn. There's no need explaining. The one leg remaining is spinning on the carport floor.
Oh my.
I'm looking over my dead dog Rover, who I've hit with the power more.
And copyright strike.
It's Dr. Demento. He don't care.
I haven't seen
Not
that
much.
Oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in forever. But overall, be like, yeah, it's basically what I watched over the weekend. If I forgot something, I'll probably remember during the middle of the broadcast, and I might be like, oh, this is what I watched.
Oh yeah.
But what have you been watching?
Whale. I have taken a short break from Power Rangers just because I didn't get around to it this week. But of course, finished Moon Knight. Since that last episode aired last Wednesday. I watched the first episode of a new series on Paramount Plus called Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. How was that?
If they can keep this up with what they did with the first episode, I might be able to think they know what they're doing.
Okay.
Because I have not been completely happy with their offerings to date, the new Star Trek shows. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
Agreed.
So I enjoyed that, and of course I saw Multiverse of Madness. And we did not get a chance to visit with our good buddy, or at least I didn't get a chance to visit with our good buddy Chase to watch anime Sunday night.
That is
but
true.
That doesn't mean that Sunday night when I got home I didn't get my allotment of Spy Family.
Oh gosh.
I watched episode 4.
Oh, it's been dubbed already?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good episode. That is a very good episode. And I watched another episode of Love After World Domination. The Power Rangers Romeo and Juliet, but hopefully without the tragic ending.
Yes.
We will see. That's a fun little show. Both of those are on Crunchyroll if you're looking for those. Other than that, the only other thing I really got around to watching, besides the stuff we needed to watch for the show, was a bunch of Riff Tracks shorts.
Okay.
Namely, one of my favorites, Shake Hands with Danger.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who don't know what Riff Tracks is, if you remember the show Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they had the guy and the two robots are trapped up on the space station, and they were forced to watch bad movies. Imagine that, but without the space station, the robots, and they're still watching bad movies, but they also do bad shorts. And they'll do some other stuff like newer things, more things they would definitely never get the license to, but they can put out audio versions to play along with it.
Really?
Yeah, which is perfectly legal.
Yeah.
But they also still will take shorts and riff alongside them with that you can then they then upload and put out to YouTube.
Interesting.
And the one I mentioned is Shake Hands with Danger is an old Caterpillar safety video from the 70s. Now, you know what I mean by Caterpillar.
The tractor?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the cheesiest safety video I think I have ever watched.
Okay.
But it's still a funny one, and it's got the greatest little country little song that plays along with it. And the reason I got to thinking about it is because they did just recently release a Riff Tracks the game, which is kind of like Jackbox, but with riffing on movies and shorts and such. So it's that sort of thing. And I've watched some people playing it. It looks like fun, but hadn't done it yet. Haven't played it yet myself. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been watching.
Cool.
What do we got in the news?
Not a whole lot. It was a lot of Be like, oh, they're doing these TV series. Oh, this. But it really was nothing that really was movie related.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of the information I could find, unless you know anything.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. So yeah, there is no news for the night.
In that case, we will go ahead and move on to our spoiler-free section of our review for the movie Epic by Blue Sky Studios. Sorry, the late Blue Sky Studios, we should say.
Yes.
But anyway, like literally, they are now the late.
Yeah.
Because while they were closing up shop back, a year or two ago, the final Blue Sky produced. This is a thing. Here's a bit of news. The final Blue Sky produced short was released like in the last couple weeks.
Really?
In which Scrat, our lovable half squirrel, half rat creature from the Ice Age films, finally got his acorn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So we'll have to do the Ice Age movie soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much I guess that is the only bit of news. Get back into the spoiler-free section of our review.
Yes.
This is not a film I like.
Okay, then. This is going to be a fun episode.
Okay, so yeah, this is the first viewing I had for this movie.
Okay.
But I can tell you I originally saw trailers and commercials and sold Blu-rays of this movie back, 8-9 years ago? 10 years ago, back when I was working at the store that shall not be named for your benefit. His benefit.
Right.
Even though that's where he buys his movies. That would be Walmart, by the way. Back when I was working there, I remember seeing it. And I remember thinking, not knowing anything about what the movie was, I remember looking at it and thought, I think they're wanting to call it epic. But for some reason, I'm looking at this and thinking epic. Like environmental picture. So I was looking at this assuming that this was a new 3D CG version of Fern Gully in essence. I was expecting to be hit over the head with an environmental message because it's Blue Sky. This is what they were doing at the time. They have to preach a message like nearly every movie. Ironically, this is the one they don't preach a message in. Or at least not the message I was thinking they were going to preach. But, so yeah, I was going into this movie all that time thinking, okay, this is going to be some environmental message. Let's get this done. I don't know why Jacob put this on the list, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes.
Right.
It was not the movie I thought it was.
Right.
But it is still a Blue Sky film, which their method of storytelling is still kind of just meh to me.
Okay.
This may just be a me thing. I don't know.
No problem.
But I've just never really gotten into their style of storytelling. The only movies of theirs I actually can tell you I enjoyed was Ice Age, the first one.
Yeah.
Not the rest of them. But although I did kind of sort of enjoy the Pigeon movie.
Oh, Spies in Disguise.
Spies in Disguise. That was kind of funny. But it still had the same problems here. It's like you could tell they started one way, and as they were continuing to improve, they were getting better, and then they were killed. Anyway, it's not a bad movie by any means. Don't get me wrong. It's just kind of for me, it was just kind of a meh.
Okay.
Movie. But yeah, that's pretty much my spoiler-free thoughts on it. It's a meh movie.
Okay.
What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts. I picked this movie because there again, I saw the trailer when it came out. Never saw it in theaters. I don't think I just probably had mixed feelings about it. And I saw it and it's like, oh, it's in because Walmart would do those Black Friday deals, be like movies for cheap. And so I wanted picking it up. I was like, you know what, this would be kind of a good idea to watching the Cellcast someday. So I picked it up and finally it's like, you know what, this is finally coming around. So I watched it and I was pleasantly surprised with this film. I wasn't expecting the environmental Fern Gully. It did remind me of Fern Gully.
Yes, there are similarities, which
There are
is why
similarities.
I thought that.
Yeah,
But it's really not that.
agreed. It's not. It's trying not to use the title of the film with everything you described, what's going on in the film.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very well, to me, it was a very well done film. There are problems, or two of them actually, that kind of ruin the film in a lot of ways.
I suspect we were in agreement on a point, but
yeah,
we'll get there.
When we get there. There's a lot of, I mean, like there's some really, really good story development. There's really good character development. Overall, I really enjoy this film. So I'm looking forward to our dislikes and see how waverly differently we are in this film.
That's assuming that we are.
Yeah, exactly.
We could be like more on the same level than we think we are.
Yeah.
It's just one of us apparently was okay with the movie. One of us just thought was like, this is okay, but it's not great.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
Join us on the other side of the bumper and we'll get to spoiling this thing. Don't forget that you can download? Don't forget that you can Don't forget that you can listen to us record the podcast live every Tuesday over on our Facebook page, The Cellcast, our Twitch channel, The Cellcast Gaming, and on YouTube at Cellcast. Also, don't forget to join our Patreon if you would like to support us monetarily. At $1, you'll get our everlasting thanks. At our $5 tier, you can get some artwork from Jacob. And on our $10 tier, you can get bloopers for every episode we've released that I've remembered to release them for. And you can get commentaries from different movies. So come check us out over there if you would like to support us financially. Each week on Stunning and Brave, hosts Chris Cowan of the Babylon Bee and Nate Henderson of Some Boring Budgeting Job confess their privilege, spotlight stunning social media posts, and fabricate outrage, all while keeping you super woke and enlightened. They will make you laugh. That's right, you have no choice. Check out Stunning and Brave at stunningandbrave.net. Do you like Star Wars? I don't just mean the original trilogy. Along with that, I mean the prequels, the sequels, the anthologies, the animated shows, and of course, who doesn't like Baby Yoda? Well, if you've been in the fandom for any length of time, you know how toxic the fandom can get. And if you'd like to be able to discuss a galaxy far, far away in a much more positive light, might I suggest searching out The Outer Rim, a Facebook group dedicated to all of Star Wars, and check out their YouTube channel, which you can easily find at Pop Americana, which the podcast you're currently listening to is also a part of. To find that and more, check out the link in the description. My apologies for the scratchiness of the played audio. I suspect I will be having to re-edit these things back into the show at a later, when I edit the final version. Because it's a little choppy tonight, and I don't know why.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
Are we talking about which version, or what are we talking about?
The version that played on the soundboard.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, for some reason, Riverside played it a little choppy this evening, and I don't know why.
Interesting.
He did the same thing with a theme song earlier at the intro, so I may.
Yeah, I noticed it was a little choppy. You could hear it in the audio.
So I'll when I go to release the Patreon version and the cut and the edited version for the on Saturday, I'll probably have to re-edit in the not messed up audio, let's say.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, getting into our chat, YouTube and Facebook are silent tonight.
It's all right.
Apparently, what Josh was saying that he would like to fix one day is that is me only mostly knowing him from just the chat. So yeah, it would be awesome to kind of get together with you, hang out, have some fun, make fun of Jacob, that sort of thing.
Right.
Josh also said he saw Multiverse of Madness.
Yank.
But anyway,
right.
You ready to jump into this full spoiler filled
Yeah,
section?
let's do that.
All right, D-Lit, give me a mark. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Epic. Listener discretion is advised. Epic was written and directed by Chris Wedge, who also wrote Ice Age and directed Ice Age. And he's also the voice of Scrat.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
That was interesting.
It was also written by James V. Hart, William Joyce, Daniel Shear, Tom J. Astle, and Matt Ember, and was inspired by the book The Leafmen and the Brave Good Bugs. And for some reason, I did not mark down who wrote that. Hang on.
It was Wallace. I just saw it a couple minutes ago.
Deedlet, mark me. Thank you. Ironically, I'm on Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure right now.
Wallace, no. Wallace Joyce.
Wallace Joyce?
Yeah, he's actually one of the writers of the movie.
I'm not doubting you. I just want to I want to be able to easily read it.
Certainly.
Give me the full thing. All cast and crew. Thank you. Writing credits. I may have just missed that that's what it was, which it wouldn't surprise me.
It's all good.
Yeah, William Joyce. Okay. It was also based on the book The Leafmen and the Brave Good Bugs by William Joyce. More inspired by that than actually based on
a lot of it's based, just inspired by it.
Yeah. Getting into the cast, we've got Amanda Seyfried as M.K. Bomba. And in Les Miserables, she played Cosette.
Cosette?
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't seen that film.
I've seen the musical, but not the film. Joss Hutcherson was the voice of Nod, and he played Peeta Mellark in The Hunger Games.
Oh, okay.
Colin Farrell was the voice of Ronan, and he was the Penguin in The Batman. Christoph Waltz was Mandrake, and he was Blofeld in No Time to Die. Aziz Ansari was Mub, and he played Tom Haverford in Parks and Rec. Chris O'Dowd played Grub, and he played Dr. Cockroach in Monsters vs. Aliens, the TV show. Not the movie.
I forgot there was a TV show.
Always. The DreamWorks stuff always has a TV show, it seems like.
Agreed.
Pitbull was the voice of Bufo, which was the frog in the
he was
the bar.
He was the
bullfrog.
bullfrog.
Set up the guy. He was Ugly Dog in Ugly Dolls,
which we just recently reviewed.
Jason Sudeikis was Professor Bomba, and he played Oscar in Colossal, which is a interesting kaiju movie. That's also a love story. Interestingly enough. Steven Tyler was the voice of Nim Galoo, the glow bug. He was, of course, the lead singer of Aerosmith. And Beyonce Knowles was the voice of Queen Tara. And along with being a single lady that, if you want it, you should have put a ring on it, she was the voice of Nala in The Lion King 2019.
Yes. You want to hear our reaction to that? Go listen to it.
Indeed. Getting into our Kingdom Hearts connections. John DiMaggio played Pinecone Jin in this movie. And he was Jacoby, a.k.a. a zombie pirate in Kingdom Hearts 2. Jeff Bennett was a fruit fly in this movie.
A fruit fly.
Yes. And he was the mayor of Halloween Town, Mr. Smee, Beryl, Merlin, Lumiere, Bashful, Large Beagle Boy, Small Beagle Boy, and Geppetto in Kingdom Hearts.
Wow.
You gotta love these that actually were a lot of different characters. Michelle Ruff was additional voices both here and in Kingdom Hearts 3, and Randy Crenshaw was additional voices in here and also in Kingdom Hearts 3. So that brings me to the end of the Kingdom Hearts connections. Jacob, what do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So IMDb has a 6.6 out of 10. It's available currently on HBO Max due to licensing. It's produced by Blue Sky Studios, dun, 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 and 20th Century Fox, now 20th Century Studios Animation. Distributed by 20th Century Fox Studios, now 20th Century Studios. Release date was, oddly enough, it was released internationally first on May 16th, 2013. 2018, sorry.
I was about to say.
Yeah, May 18th, 2013 at the Ziegfeld Theater, and it was released nationwide here in the States on May 24th, 2013. Going into the box office, an estimated budget of $100 million. Its opening weekend was kind of dismal. Had a $33.5 million on March 26th, and its United U.S. and Canada gross was $107.5 million. Its worldwide gross was $268.4 million. Now, we don't know if this movie made even or like it made some money. I'm pretty sure it made some money on its release, on its home release. So speaking of home release, Epic was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray 3D. That was the thing back then.
Yes, it was.
On April 20th, 2030. And on July 29th, 2021, Epic was made available on Disney Plus for Disney Plus subscribers, following the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of 20th Century Fox and Blue Sky Studios in 2019, but it was later removed from the service on May 1st, 2021, due to a pre-existing contracts. Since then, it is available on HBO Max. So that is all I have for info and stuff.
When you said that, we didn't know if it had made its money back or not.
Yeah.
The thought that crossed through my mind was, "Curse you, Perry the Platypus!"
Oh my gosh.
Let me make that a thing.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Anyway, getting into the summary for this. After her mother dies, 17-year-old Mary Catherine, or MK, moves in with her eccentric scientist father, Professor Bomba, who has spent his life searching for tiny humanoid soldiers called Leafmen in Sherman, Connecticut. They protect the forest near where Bomba lives with wicked creatures called Boggans and their malevolent leader, Mandrake. Bomba's determination to find proof of his theories irritates his daughter, as she believes it's nonsense, like her mother did, but Bomba assures her he'll find proof. Meanwhile, an independent young Leafman named Nod decides to quit, much to the ire of his no-nonsense leader, Ronan, who promised Nod's late father he'd look out for his son. The benevolent fairy queen of the forest, Queen Tara, must choose an heir to her throne and goes out to a field of leaf pods on board her flying barge and escorted by the royal guards. Arriving at the field guarded by the laid-back slug named Mub and a wannabe Leafman snail named Grub. Immediately after she chooses a pod, the Boggans attack. Tara flees the area with the pod, and though flying Leafman bodyguards do their best to protect her, they are soon overwhelmed by the sheer number of Boggans. Unable to reach the barge and the safety of the guards while being chased, Ronan arrives for her and the pair fly off on his hummingbird mount. They are then attacked by Mandrake and his son Dagda. Dagda is killed by Ronan, but not until after he shoots Tara. Meanwhile, MK decides to leave after having an argument with Bomba about his research. Before she can leave, Bomba's dog Ozzy runs into the woods. While looking for Ozzy, MK sees Tara falling. Dying, Tara gives her the pod and uses her magic to shrink her. She tells MK to take the pod to Nimgaloo, a glowworm wizard, before she dies, and MK joins Ronan and the Leafmen, along with Mub and Grub. Ronan discovers that Nod has entered a race against other creatures and bugs on birds. Nod goes back on a deal with a short-tempered toad gangster named Bufo to throw the race. Before Bufo and his two henchmen can feed Nod to a snake, Ronan intervenes and orders them to leave. A reluctant Nod joins him, MK, Mub, and Grub after hearing about Queen Tarn's death, which Bufo overhears. Ronan, Nod, MK, Mub, and Grub eventually track down Nimgaloo. He then leads them down to the library where MK discovers Tara's brief message before shrinking her, and a message that will get her back to normal size. When Ronan leaves, Nod takes MK on a deer ride, and they begin to fall for each other. Meanwhile, Mandrake, grieving over his son's death, has the Boggans bring Bufo to him, finding out the location of the pod. Mandrake goes to Nimgalu's place to steal the pod, which, if it blooms in darkness, will birth a dark prince who will help Mandrake destroy the forest. He takes the pod and kidnaps Mub and Grub. Ronan scolds Nod for not being there to protect the pod. To get into Boggan territory undiscovered, MK, Nod, and Ronan set out to Bomba's house to get some disguises, where MK learns that the Leafmen have deliberately been leading Bomba off their trail. Bomba sees that he has visitors and captures MK fainting when he sees her. MK marks the location of Moonhaven on a map Bomba has made of the forest before rejoining Nod and Ronan. When they reach the Boggan land, Ronan distracts the Boggans while MK and Nod rescue Mub, Grub, and the pod. Mandrake discovers them and orders the Boggans to stop them. MK, Nod, Mub, and Grub escape alive, but Ronan sacrifices himself to ensure their escape. Before the full moon can sprout the pod at Moonhaven, Mandrake's bats block the light, causing the pod to begin sprouting in darkness. The Leafmen set out to fight the Boggans. MK tries to get help from her father by visiting his various cameras he has set in the forest. However, upon regaining consciousness, Bomba believes that he really didn't see MK, and he has been insane all these years and shuts down all his cameras. He changes his mind when he sees the red push pin that MK had put on his map. Bomba is overjoyed to see that he has been right, and he follows MK to Moonhaven. MK uses Bomba's iPod, may it rest in peace, to make bat sounds. I say that because the iPod just got discontinued finally this week.
I heard about that.
Anyway, those lured the iPod was used to make bat sounds, luring Mandrake's bats away. Meanwhile, Mub and Nim Galoo try to stop Mandrake from reaching the pod, but are unsuccessful. Just then, Ronan appears bearing scars and bruises from the Boggans. Mandrake manages to outdo him, but is defended by Nod, who finally realizes the importance of teamwork. Before Mandrake can obtain his victory, the pod blooms in moonlight as Mandrake falls into the burrow of a nearby tree. The chosen heir is the flower child who helped save Tara earlier in the film. Grub becomes a Leafman, Nod and Ronan reconcile, and Nod and MK kiss before MK is returned to her original size. After reuniting with Bomba and becoming his assistant, the human families still keep regular contact with their small friends as they continue the research of their world. Getting into the trivia for this. This is, of course, loosely based on William Joyce's children's book, The Leafmen and the Brave Good Bugs. Like Rise of the Guardians 2012, it was based on a story told to the author's daughter. The film's protagonist, MK, is named for Joyce's daughter, who died of a brain tumor on May 11th, 2010, when she was 18 years old. So she didn't get to see the film.
Yeah.
This is the first Blue Sky Studios produced film to feature a female protagonist, as well as the first theatrical animated film produced and distributed by 20th Century Fox to feature one since Anastasia, 1997. And as I stated before, the Leafmen were modeled after samurai. Queen Tar's dress is very similar to Tiana's from Disney's The Princess and the Frog in 2009. Beyonce, who voices Tar, was considered for the role of Tiana, but didn't get the part. This is also the last Blue Sky Studios film to feature 20th Century Fox logo with a News Corporation company below it.
Oh, okay.
So this would be around the time, I guess, News Corporation was thinking, let's just sell Fox 20th Century Studios so we can focus on conservative news media.
Yeah.
But anyway, that brings me to the end of our trivia. Why don't you go ahead and give me your first like for this film?
My first like in this film is going to be the environment itself. Definitely when you're in the forest, you get this grand perspective of the animation of the environments itself, how be like lighting and shadow and effects. Be like, I really enjoy that. I mean, like it's so many scenes of this film that are absolutely breathtaking. They take you down to the forest floor from a camera perspective, from audience perspective, and it's just a great perspective in which they give the audience to put you in the shoes or in the perspective of a Leafman, or it's MK, right?
Yeah, MK.
Yeah, MK's now perspective. and it's just it's breathtaking in so many shots. And that's the first thing that popped in my head. It was like, man, like the environmental effects in this movie is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so mine's the environmental effects. What's yours?
My first like is that it doesn't hit you over the head with an environmental message.
There we go.
Because I mentioned that's what I assumed this was going into it,
Mm-hmm.
but it really doesn't do that. I mean, it's not even really has an environmental message. Because, I mean, if this was Fern Gully, like I assumed it would have been,
Yeah,
that sort of film,
mm-hmm.
I keep wanting to say the Bombas. That is not who I'm referring to. I'm talking about the bad guys, the Boggans.
Boggans.
The Boggans would have been the result of human pollution,
Yeah,
and they're not. They are just the regular decomposition of the forest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
it's
And
life and death.
that's
It's a
Bad?
cycle.
I think they're the bad guys, but they're
Yeah.
just their standard decomposition of the forest. It's part of the, if you'll pardon the allusion to the Lion King, the circle of life. I mean, that's how the forest works.
Yeah, agreed.
But they act like they're like the most horrible creatures, and if this decomposition continues, it will mean the death of the forest. Yeah, only if it's done like if it's not if you're not growing things afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So you people should actually like them for the most part. The good guys should be liking the Boggans for the most part,
Right.
because they're all giving you places to regrow.
Yeah, because if
Now,
they
the Boggans, I don't know why they're just being jerkwads other than everything must decompose. I don't understand that whole process. It's like, no, y'all are ones that create, one creates, one destroys. Y'all work in tandem here. Y'all shouldn't be mad at each other, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is no environmental message to worry about. There's no message about, be kind to nature.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even get an only you can prevent wildfires type of message here. It's just a story that happens to take place out in the forest behind this house.
Agreed.
If anything, it's ripping off Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Except the shrinking was done by magic instead of by mad science by Rick Moranis. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't hit you over the head with that message, and that I was pleasantly surprised by.
Good deal.
What's your second like?
My second like would be the high fantasy storytelling. You get this hate to use the word, but epic scale of this invisible world between the Leafmen and the Boggans. And the Boggans.
The Boggans.
Boggans, thank you.
The Boggans. The Boggans. What? The Boggans.
Stinking Boggans. Just like where they take direction, where they use this there again, more of a high fantasy story where it's using like the Leafmen are more designed after the samurai and the proper techniques of how they use their swords, and just like I love that kind of thing. I love it when you do fantasy work, and it's again, this movie came out in 2013, and there was started this shift of going away from more original storytelling and going towards, let's use big IPs, let's rehash, reboot, whatever.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's your environmental message, kids.
But just that Blue Sky Studios, 20th Century Fox took a chance and did something different. Did something that was non-traditional. That was a non-traditional story, a story that possibly had been told before, but from a different perspective, and done in my opinion, very well done. And the amount of lore you get in the characters, the the ceremonies, the character growth, the character development of just using this high fantasy backdrop of this ongoing war between the Leafmen and the Boggans, and I just found that incredibly fascinating. I was like, heck yeah, I really enjoy this. So yeah, it's high fantasy storytelling. Yeah.
Okay.
So what is your second?
I actually like the animation a lot in this
Agreed.
film. There's a lot of good lighting that's done in here, and a lot of the effects on the animals I thought were done very well, especially the time dilation that we see between the small world and the big world. I thought that was done fairly well. I think the thing that impressed me the most was the effects when the Boggans fired their arrows. At the different plants, and it caused the what do you call those? Kind of I always think of them as tree warts, but I don't think that's the official term.
Pustules or whatever.
You get a weird knot on a tree sometimes. I don't know exactly what that is because I'm not a botanist, but I thought that's what that kind of reminded me of. So I thought that was the way that they showed that happening. I thought looked good. I appreciated the fact that anytime you were in the human-sized world, and there are the small stuff happening behind them, you can actually make out the characters the whole time. There's never a part where it feels like, oh, this is all happening back there, but we're not going to pay attention to it. I appreciated the way they handled all that. It really did remind me a lot of, like I said, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and really Ant-Man. How they handle those size differences when the time comes. I thought they handled that very well. But yeah, the animation and I thought in this one was good. A lot of the tree, the animation of the trees as the light filters through them and the wind blows through them, I thought was good. The best one though is the message when they're down in the rings. And she sees the message that somehow Tara left for her. I say somehow because I call shenanigans on that whole thing, but whatever. The way they animated that with the magic dust, whatever, you could still tell that they were using particle effects to do that. But the entire time, it's like you can make out the whole thing. So I don't know exactly how they did that, but I don't know how they did it. I don't actually know 3D animation. I just know particle effects are usually hard to do, but the fact that they did particle effects and still showing the events that occurred so that she could get the message, I thought was handled very well. So yeah, that's my second like is the animation.
Okay. So you said something that kind of made me laugh and I wanted to make a joke out of it. So this is kind of riffing on something that having more political, but let's just make it more funny.
I'm wondering where you're going with this.
Well, I can't tell you what a tree is. I'm not a botanist.
Let's move on.
Yes. But either or.
Moving right along. What's your third like?
What's my third like? I like the relationship between the father and daughter because for some reason I'm always attracted to very good, very grounded stories about family. And this is obviously it's a strained relationship between a father and daughter. A father who's become so obsessed with his wanting to, what is the word I'm looking for? Obsession in just trying to discover the Leafmen. Because he knows they exist, and the point where Ronan says, "Be like, oh yeah, we've been throwing this stomper off for years. Like he's been this close, but we've just been throwing off our trail." But it's so interesting where what is the father's name?
Professor Bomba.
Professor Bomba. Be like,
I said his actual name, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, Professor Bomba. And so he is just his level of obsession with this is just, it's so, and the way animate Professor Bomba, it's the more cartoony than like any other character. And I really enjoy that. It's where he's the more cartoony of everything else. And everybody else is like fluid and just moves gracefully. And he's the more cartoony of cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
But getting down to the relationship between Professor Bomba and MK, I found that it was where when you do something, when you do a relationship, you definitely a broken relationship, right? Where it's a father who had be like his, I'm not sure how, be like the mother left him with the kid, be like they separated and he went off to go do his thing, and so it's just the reconnection of these two with the Leafmen and the ongoing war with the Boggans, and having MK having been shrunk down to the size to this ongoing feud, and her going from someone who didn't believe, like, dad is just full of it, like no wonder mom left you, and her having to reconnect with her dad through the passing of her own mother. And I found it where when she started to realize like her dad was right and was trying to encourage him in that way to push forward with it when he starts to be disencouraged with it. And I found it really fascinating that this family becomes reconnected through this odd circumstance of magic and shenanigans. I really enjoyed that aspect of this movie. It was really good. So what is your third?
My third is the setup for the main conflicts throughout the movie. They could have very easily have done a couple throwaway lines, and within 5 minutes of the movie, she shrunk down and trying to keep the pod from getting stolen by the box.
Oh yeah, but
that would have been very easy for them to do.
Very.
But they spend a good 20 to 30 minutes before she gets shrunk.
25 minutes.
Setting up her conflict with her father, setting up the Boggans conflict with the Leafmen, and even setting up a character so that his death would actually have an effect.
It did, yes.
On why, so you would understand why the Mandrake is being as evil as he is. Because we get to know his son a little bit, but his son dies in the middle of that attack.
Yeah.
So I appreciated all the way they did that whole setup. They could have done that, like I said, in 5 minutes if they were being fast and in a hurry, like so many films will do sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But this one, they set up all the conflicts and gave you 20 minutes to really just kind of get into the feel of both of these worlds before they smacked them together, and you had to figure out, and they had to figure out, how they were going to get through this.
Yeah.
In some ways, that may have been a little bit of a detriment to the story overall, but I appreciated us getting set up so that we could actually get a good feeling for what these worlds were like before we had to dive in and, make our way through the backyard.
Yeah, agree.
For lack of a better term. What's your first dislike?
My first dislike. Oh, the comedy relief in this movie. Oh my gosh. Who I'm referring to.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you on this.
Okay.
And so I'm going to jump in with you on this because my first dislike also is that Mub and Grub should die.
Great. There was one point during the movie, because there's a point where it's like there's a possibility they could. I'm thinking like, just push them on the edge. Just do it. Come on, get rid of these characters.
We don't like them. They're not funny.
They're not
funny at all. And that's the problem. It's like when a character is not funny, but they're still trying to tell jokes.
Yeah.
They're nothing but annoying.
Yeah,
and you kept thinking, and it's one of those things where like you're getting into the story, and all of a sudden the story comes to a complete halt, so Mub can hit on MK.
Yeah,
for a good 2, 3, 4 minutes, and it's like,
It just drags.
You were on a roll and you came to a complete stop for a dumb joke.
Yeah.
That is obvious that anyone watching is like, yeah, no, you're not even funny, you fat slug of a slug.
It's one of those, it's like this movie has such a serious tone. It'd be like it is very lighthearted in some ways. And my only assumption is with the director and the writers was we need a dynamic duo of comedy relief to break up all this seriousness to make it more lighthearted and funny.
Let the kids laugh at something.
Yeah. But be like every time they use that they deploy that, they pull the drag chute and it literally drags the entire movie, the entire pace of what's going on to a complete dead still. It'd be like everything stops to make a really, really bad joke.
And to keep making really, really bad jokes.
Yeah. Like there's points where like you can see where they could have simply just edited these out and make them like little bits here and there. It's like, oh, that was kind of funny. Back to our good story.
And it really feels like what their whole plan was. It's like, okay, we're going to have these moments where we're going to have these big joke parts with Mub and Grub. But if we are going through the editing process and we find we don't think they're funny, we're going to make sure that it's easily able to take those moments out so that it doesn't affect the story.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like that because you could easily edit around those two guys for the most part. The only times you really need them for the story's sake is when they go and pick the pod.
Yeah.
And when Mandrake is having them keep the pod moist while he's making sure that the thing's going to, while they're in his area. That's really the only two places they are needed. And you could have still kept them in the movie just by having them get caught by Mandrake early on with the pod and have our group have to go find Mandrake's fortress to sneak him out of there and have that be the story. But then that changes up the rest of the story.
That is true.
It's annoying that it feels like the story was written to keep them in it in some ways.
Yeah. But I can see where be like you do need characters like that. You do need a comedy relief. And
they need to be good comedy.
They need to be good comedy, not where they drag the story down to a complete utter stop.
Yeah.
And that's one of the detriments of this film is that its comedy just kills it. Be like you're literally watching where the scene where MK and what is our main protagonist character? Nod.
Or Ronan.
Nod. Okay. Be like, oh, the encounter
with
love interest. The love interest. Nod.
That will never happen.
Yeah, will never happen.
She's gonna be an adult.
Yeah.
Or she's gonna go back to being a stomper. We know this.
Yes.
And he doesn't have a way to come to join her in that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But it's just like that scene where just the scene, the moment when you start becoming disengaged with the film is when Nod and MK are being attacked by the mouse. And that entire scene gets done with Ronan being the kick butt character he is.
Yeah.
Comes in and just whoops that mouse's butt. And then the drag chute gets pulled and everything goes to a dead stop to say stupid jokes. It's like, oh, get on my woman. For freaking 3 minutes.
Yes.
Like, can we just hop out of this hole? Be like, make a really, really silly joke. Don't be like, it just drags.
Thinking music even comes to a halt.
Oh, yeah. Everything.
Like, the drive of the film just disappears long enough for Mub and Grub to do their stupid comedy bit. And it will be that way for 2 or 3 minutes. And it's like someone says, okay, that's far enough. Let's get back to the movie.
Yeah. Or the scene where they're in the elevator going down the layers of the tree in order to get to the scrolls. It's just like, oh my gosh. Well, imagine being stuck in an elevator with annoying people like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to tie
and that's the thing. They are their brand of funny for this is that they're annoying characters.
Yes.
But if you don't find annoying characters funny, they're just annoying characters.
Yeah.
Which makes them worse.
Exactly. And that's
not
what these
everyone
characters
finds
are.
annoying characters funny.
Yeah. Unless you have a weird sense of humor and like annoying characters.
Well, some people do
Yeah.
like that, admittedly, but
You know, like,
I just look at it and go, just shut up.
Yeah.
Guys, just shut up. Y'all aren't doing anything to push the story forward.
Agreed.
Y'all are just making stupid jokes.
Agreed. And it's just it's a
Good
huge
night when Pitbull and is a better character than you. That's saying something. Buffo, and I'm not saying anything about Pitbull, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Pitbull is obviously stunt casting in this film.
Yeah.
He's got maybe 5 lines.
Yeah.
It's all written. 3 of them are written around you were supposed to throw that race and you didn't. And the other 2 is like, I'm sorry, my lord. They had the pod and they're heading towards Moonhaven or wherever they were going. That's actually more interesting than anything that Mubba Grub said.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire film.
Like heck, it'd be like even Steven Tyler's
Steven
character.
Tyler's character is funnier than they are.
He is. He's a lot more funny.
And he's not even acting. He's just being Steven Tyler.
I agree. I think it's just more when they who's the voice for Mub and Grub?
Aziz Ansari and Chris O'Dowd.
Chris O'Dowd. It's like, yeah, obviously these guys are comedians.
Well, Aziz is because he was on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Chris O'Dowd, when I was doing his stuff, he's done nothing but like animated bit parts and animated shows for like years.
Oh, okay.
So he should have been the straight man in this conversation.
Yeah.
While Aziz was got to be the funny guy, but he's not. Neither one of them are doing their jobs.
Yeah.
I'm not even suspecting they were in the same room together when they were recording their lines.
Possible.
Now that doesn't mean movies. All the actors have to be in the same room together because
Yeah.
especially with animated movies.
Yeah.
That's almost next to impossible. But when you've got a comedy duo here that have to act off of each other,
Yeah.
they really should have been there at the same time. And I don't know if that was the case, if
Right.
they weren't able to record together,
Right.
through scheduling or something. But
Mhm.
they should have been together to. If they weren't, they really should have been together to record with each other, so they could actually have worked off of each other
Agreed.
and done multiple takes.
Yeah.
Because you listen to this comedy and it really feels like this was the first joke that came in their heads, because it's obviously all
Ad-libbed or slapstick or
improv.
improv. Thank
It's
you.
obviously all improv comedy.
Mhm.
But the thing about improv comedy for a movie, you have multiple takes. And you don't even have to worry about film with this. Do multiple audio takes and come up with the best jokes that work through this. And
Mhm.
if that is what happened,
Mhm.
if they actually did have multiple takes of these improv jokes and these are the best ones, maybe this comedy duo shouldn't be working together.
Agreed.
Because these guys, the characters, they're no Abbott and Costello.
No. It's like when you have like secondary characters who are funnier than you are, and you're supposed to be the comedy relief to the movie, you have a problem.
Yes.
So yeah, I think both our first dislikes are Mub and Grub, who are the worst comedy
They
side
should
character.
Die.
I agree, but there's some points where I think it's the slug is like he wants to be a leaf man, and some of those points it's kind of funny
Okay,
in a way.
The idea that wasn't the slug, it was the snail.
Snail
that
that's
wanted
right.
to be the leaf, and it's like, you know what? That's funny. And the whole part there where the snail can't get to his bird before someone else takes it.
Mhm.
That's funny.
That was funny.
But that's like the only funny part involving him.
Yeah,
And the bad thing about that is he ain't working off of his buddy. He's
Yeah,
by himself, and he just happens to have good visual jokes of this snail's trying to finally gets a chance to be a leafman, and every time he does it, someone keeps stealing his bird.
Yeah. So like when I first watched the film, because when on the Blu-ray version of this film, when it comes up, you have Mub and Grub, the voice actors talking. Like,
Oh, thank goodness I don't have
oh,
the
it
Blu-ray.
was terrible because they start going into if you don't hit start immediately, they start into these really weird comedy bits of oh, here's the feature.
Right.
And they make some really stupid joke about it. Like the entire time, I'm like, thank you, click, click.
Well,
Oh no, this is what's happening.
That's a common thing on DVDs and Blu-rays over
Yeah.
the years, that if you've got your comedy release, they're making fun of what's going on the menu. That's the same thing. And when you've got good comedians doing this, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Bub and Grub are not funny. They're just not funny.
Like even in the extras, I think one of the actors who plays Mub or Grub, they're like, "Oh yeah, we could definitely do if Blue Sky or 20th Century Fox, we could do a spinoff of these two." It's like, no, what are you thinking?
Disney probably saw that and just laughed their butts off. It's like, dude, that's the funniest thing you've said for these characters. Because it ain't ever gonna happen. It better not.
Oh my gosh, Disney, please don't do that. Just say it. Please don't do that. Whenever you get the rights back to this movie, don't do it.
I'm just saying, these characters, they ain't Olaf.
No, they're not.
Olaf is, to some degree, an annoying character, but he's a fun
character.
He is actually funny. Josh Gad is actually a comedian and knows how to deliver those lines. Yes, the character is annoying because he's meant to be an annoying character, much like Mub and Grub.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually funny about his annoyance.
Yeah.
So you kind of grow by the time he gets, you think his annoyance would be at its boiling point. You like the character enough to let it go. Pardon my pun.
Very true.
Anyway, sorry.
Go ahead.
Second dislike
is the little bit of story point that was completely left off, and I thought it was kind of a shame they didn't do anything with it. So when they get the scroll that tells the foretelling of the future heir, and the bit of scroll that's been torn off, and then it's revealed later on that Mandrake, the main villain, be like, "Oh, I have the other side of the scroll," and he's become evil. I'm like,
gee, I couldn't see that
coming. Yeah, there's like, okay, that you see that coming. It's like, obviously he's got it, but they do nothing with it. I'm thinking like, okay, is it going to be like a immersion of like the good and dark? It's going to be one of these characters.
Well, they say that what it's going to do is cause, instead of it being selecting the next heir for the good side, if it blooms in darkness, what the scroll says, if the pod blooms in darkness, it will be like a dark prince to help Mandrake take over the forest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And also I
have questions.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, here's the thing. When the pod does its thing, it doesn't become the new queen.
No.
It chooses the new queen.
Yeah.
Which was the little annoying flower that kept showing up.
The little flower girl.
Which then makes me have to wonder, if it bloomed in darkness, would it have turned her evil?
Because they set that up. It's like, oh, okay, here's the future queen. Because it's be like, oh, I want to be the queen. I'm going to be the queen someday. It's like, honey, that's not the way this works. I'm like, apparently it does.
Apparently that is how it works. But they get think, that's not how it works. It's more mystical than that.
Yeah.
And to some degree, okay, I get what you're saying. It's like, yeah, it's not like in no amount of hard work you do will ever allow you to be the queen in this society, because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I get that. You get to be the queen, kid, because you're the one who just keeps talking. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, just I really wish they would have gone deeper in this whole thing, because the pod is, but like, it is starting to bloom in the darkness in some points. I'm like, are we going to get this kind of like half and half, where she can be like, she has the powers of both, she has to balance these things? But nope,
it's like
we get nothing of that. And it was just it's kind binary. Of a disappointment.
It's either it finishes blooming in darkness, or it finishes blooming in the light. And however it finishes, that's how the magic's going to go. Well, then that raises an interesting question. Let's say, hypothetically,
okay,
it's blooming in moonlight one night, once every 20 years, they said, and they're getting ready to do this, and through no use of the, I keep want to say Goombas, that's not what they're called, the Boggans.
Boggans.
Through no fault of the Boggans at all. The Boggans are just busy licking their wounds because they realized they lost whatever the fight. Let's say that happened, and it happened to be a cloudy night. That's not the Boggin's fault. It nothing the Leafmen can do about it.
Yeah.
This thing's going to bloom in darkness because it's a rainy night. Is this how deserts are formed? How does this work? It's no one's fault. What if it's mostly in moonlight, and at the very last second, a jumbo jet flies in front of the moon, and a shadow is cast upon all of a sudden? Oh, yeah, the bloom is evil. You need better explanations than this, because this thing for 90% of its blooming cycle was in darkness.
Yeah.
Whoever was going to get this power should have to deal with should have to be dealing with at least some evilness.
Yeah.
That has to deal with
the struggle with the darkness and how to overcome it. I
yes,
agree.
They should be. Nope. Nope. It's like, oh no, it bloomed in dark. It bloomed in the moonlight. It's all good.
Yeah. But the thing is, it has to.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it'll bloom. It'd be like if it doesn't. It'll bloom in, but it'll bloom in the moonlight. But if it's shadowed and it's if it's in a dark area, it'll bloom darkness.
Yeah.
So it's just. It's that little bit is just so irritating.
And if that is how it works, you could have done a lot better than the moon is being blocked by thousands of bats. No.
No. That's not the way it works.
I'm going to have to put another movie on the list now that I also hate. That also deals with fairies.
Okay.
And I think handles the villain good guy thing a lot better than this, but not by much. Okay. Moving on.
All right. So what is your second
dislike?
Yes.
There are a lot of points in this movie where we seem to jump forward a good amount of time.
Okay.
And it feels like we not really necessarily miss story, but okay, for instance.
Okay.
Bufo is berating our Ronan, Knob.
Yeah.
For not throwing the race.
Yeah.
Ronan comes and saves his butt. When did Ronan get there? And it's not just Ronan. The whole Hee Haw gang is there. The last scene, literally, the scene before this, they were flying to this area.
Yeah.
To find him. There was no scene showing them landing. There was no scene showing them in flight. There was nothing other than, Knob's about to get his butt kicked by a bunch of frog mafia. And all of a sudden, Ronan's saving his butt. It's like, when did you get here? You should still be off at, over there where you just got your butt kicked by the Boggins. How did you get here this fast?
Yeah. I'd be like,
it feels like we hit a commercial break.
Okay.
If this was on TV.
Okay.
And that was your excuse for, the time jump that had to have occurred between the last scene and this scene. This really feels like it should be, his race should be happening at the same time as them leaving, because that's all it gives you. But for them, it can't be then. It has to be like at least 15, 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
To give them enough time to fly over to where this is. I don't buy it.
Okay.
I just don't buy they got there that fast. And that's not the only time that these kind of quick time jumps happen with no clear reason. I mean, they go from like middle of the, them riding on the deer to it being the middle of the freaking night.
That is true.
Also, this is a minor thing, which is why it's not one of my dislikes. How is riding a deer require a more sensitive person than riding the bird?
You
Birds
weigh
are flightier.
Yeah. You weigh like
It makes
2 ounces.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of just like that's not as important as why are you jumping around? Why are you? It feels like you are. There were scenes that were edited out,
probably,
and you did nothing to make the transition to the new scenes smoother. Now that these other scenes are missing, because you wanted to get it done in was this hour and a half movie,
something like that. Just a little under two, But it feels like
here's
breakneck movie.
Here's an easy way to fix your flow problems. Get rid of Mub and Grub and actually add in the scenes that help your scenes move from one flow better from one scene to the other. Please. And how is nobody surprised that there's a Stomper who's now 2 inches tall running around with everybody? Because she doesn't look like the rest of the Leafs at all.
She didn't dress like anybody else.
No, they didn't even bother to hide her.
No.
And that's part of these other logical things. But anyway, what is your third dislike?
My third dislike, kind of jumping into your second dislike, definitely how they do MK, and she just like everybody accepts her, but like, oh, she's just a Leafman. They're like, but she dresses nothing like you. She knows nothing of your culture.
She does not have any of the facial features present in the Leafmen themselves.
Yeah, nobody. Be like, she looks like a Stomper, but it doesn't dawn on anybody until like, oh, she says it. Oh, I'm a Stomper.
She looks like a European in Japan.
Yeah, pretty much.
You are going to stand out.
Like, yeah, definitely in that hoodie of yours.
Yes.
So what is your third?
My third is a question. How in the world did moving the red pushpin tell Professor Bomba everything he needed to know about where to find them?
That's a good point.
Because she moves it, sure, but she doesn't know that he's going to just completely disbelieve his senses for the past couple minutes after he fainted.
Yeah.
That he's going to now turn off all the cameras because he's convinced he's insane. But all of a sudden, that red pushpin, it's moved to the other side of the map. And I didn't notice it till I tore a hole in it. It was like, okay, where was that pushpin before? Which side of the thing was? I'm sorry. That is not enough information. Because it's not.
Agreed.
It's like, she picked up the red one? Why was there a red one? Because she needed one to move.
Yeah.
From what I could tell, there was no reason he had a red one there.
It makes logical sense that like she would pick up the red one because that's more obvious.
And it's the one that's separate from the rest of them. But why was there a red one there in the first place? It feels like it was picked there not because, oh, there happened to be a red one on there, so she used that one. It's like we placed the red one amongst all these so she would know to pick it up. And at the same time, her moving it to the other side of the map, away from the rest of them, that should not tell him, oh, someone's trying to help me go find where all these guys are and needs help right this second. So I need to go running off into the forest to go help find the daughter who I was convinced I had to have been insane seeing in the blender earlier. Thank goodness he didn't turn that on.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Blended MK anybody?
And it doesn't make sense. How does he follow that? She never said anything about liking red. There's no reason she would have. Yeah, I get she would have thought, oh, I'm going to be nice for my father. All these other, the Leafmen, they've been giving him a hard time. I'm going to tell him right where he needs to go because I really do love my father. I want to give him a hand.
Yeah.
That's why she did it.
Yeah.
From a story perspective.
Yeah.
But he looks at that and goes, I didn't put that there. The MK I saw in the blender somehow must have put that there. And that she's telling me that I need to go there to find her and help her. I was like, he didn't say that, but that's the closest approximation I can come to. It must have been going on in his mind. And I'm still looking at that and going, dude, That doesn't make any sense. You'd have had better luck if you looked at your stupid cameras before you turned them off.
Okay, I do understand when you're in such a defeatist mindset.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah.
But he makes a 180-degree turn because that red pushpin's not where I put it.
Yeah.
More correctly, that red pushpin's not where I thought I put it. How does your brain work?
Well, he is a little crazy.
I guess. And we can kind of see by the end of this, she's a little crazy too. So maybe that somehow maybe told him, no, that's not how that works. It's stupid. It's stupid. It is plot convenience.
Agreed. It is
That is the entire reason he knew that the red pushpin meant go here now before the end of the world occurs and the bats cause the forest to die because it caused the thing to pod to bloom in darkness.
Touche.
It is plot convenience. I'm sorry.
It is plot convenience.
You should know. While things should be convenient for the plot, you should write enough stuff around there where it's not obvious and it's plot convenience.
Again,
it's annoying.
Touche.
It is so because I watched that scene and thought, and he does that, and I literally had to stop. I had to stop the film and rewind. It's like I must have missed something where he made this logical jump, and I didn't miss anything. There was nothing written. There was no note. There was nothing. Dude, send somebody back there to say, hey, we didn't put this there. Your daughter put it there because she's one of us. Now go give us a hand.
Oh,
and he doesn't do any good when he gets there.
Except he turns the bats around.
He's a distraction. That's the whole thing he's used for. It's like, there was so much more you could have done. But no, you are a kaiju in this world. You could have killed the guy by stepping on him.
Oh my gosh.
And still, I point to the fact that at the end of the day, this war didn't need to happen because they are both part of the ecology of this forest. You need the leafmen to grow the plants and the boggans to decompose the plants. That is life. That is the circle of life, for crying out loud here. You people should be working together for the continued health of everything. So yes.
Oh man.
That is my third dislike.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, this is gonna be fun. All right.
There are a lot of logical inconsistencies in this film.
I can see that.
But I don't hate this film. I just don't like this film.
Okay. All right. So,
anyway.
Yeah. What's your score? You go first.
I'm giving it a 6.5.
Wow. Okay.
The animation is good.
Yeah.
There are a lot of there's a lot of good parts of this film. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But when this film fumbles the ball, it fumbles it hard. For every 10, to use football metaphors that I am not qualified to use.
Okay, go for it.
For every 10 yards that this story moves the ball towards the good end goal of making a good film, it backtracks about 50.
I'd say more like 15, but still.
Nope, 50. It loses points. 6.5.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay.
I'm going to give it 8. Be like, it's like, yes, there are some logical inconsistencies. I do agree with a lot of your points. I do. For me, I really, the animation movies were well done. There's a really good story built up in there, but I do agree with your points that there are some. It does fumble a little bit, and but a little bit.
Your definition of a little and my definition of a little must be wildly different. Correction, it must be a little different.
A little different. Well, if I recall, the last movie we did was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yes.
And be like, I have a tendency of overthinking things, right?
Yes, especially
Okay.
when it comes to comedy.
That is true. So
are you saying I have a tendency to overthink things when it comes to logic and making a movie make sense?
No. I'm not saying that. I just want to make a point there. It's like, just use that little point there. I think it's just like for me, it's just like comedy sometimes doesn't really work with the story. And then when the story doesn't really, when you see inconsistently little points here and there that don't make sense, it's just like, I see where you're going with it. I see
my problem is the story didn't make sense.
Okay.
And there's nothing and if the comedy should be there to make me accept it easier, but it doesn't. It just makes me think more like, look at how stupidly this logic is set up.
Yeah. I get it. Totally get it. Either way. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8. Like, the comedy in this movie doesn't work. There's a lot of the story I really enjoy. I can see Drew's points, a lot of them. And I'll definitely go back and rewatch this film to, just kind of see his perspective more. Like, maybe I missed a few things. Maybe I'm like, ooh, all these really good things, and I'm probably just like not hitting it.
And it could be that I am letting some weird little things stick in my mind that are not as big a points as I made them out to be.
Right.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
Still don't want to watch this movie again.
Okay.
Which brings us to the end of this episode.
Yes.
Or not the end of the episode, I should say. But to the end of this review, which means we need to announce the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be, I got to actually look up the stinking name of this thing because it's a long one.
Yes, it is. Something that's been coming down the pipeline for a while.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. And we are going to have a guest on this episode, being Dallas Mora of Geek Devotions.
Yay!
Who is watching it with us because he's the one who created the hashtag.
Yes.
It's his fault.
You're welcome, Dallas.
Yes, indeed. But that does mean I need to ask a trivia question for next week. And my trivia question is, who in this movie is not, in the English dub of the movie, is not voiced by the original 4Kids actor? The original TV show's actor. There's one character, almost all the characters are voiced by that had parts in the show.
Mm-hmm.
They're voiced by their same voice actor. But one character is not.
Ooh.
And I want to know who it is.
Okay.
I will ask that question in the Facebook group, our Facebook page, so look for it there.
Awesome.
Anyway, we need to jump to our next bit of reviewing here, which is, so let me play this.
And the Masters of the Universe.
Cats are on the move. Cats are loose. DuckTales, woo!
Let's get dangerous.
Building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower.
The Pinky and the brain. Nerf!
It is time for us to review 2 episodes of Tangled.
Yes.
Well, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure.
Yes.
Or Tangled the series. Because they had to change the name halfway through the show. for no
Why?
apparent
reason. Come on,
other than
Disney.
to give us confusion. First episode we're reviewing tonight is season 2, episode 3, The Return of Quaid, which was directed by Tom Caulfield and written by Jeremy Shipp. The guest cast for this is Britt Robertson as returning as Vex, Reg E. Cathy as Captain Quaid, along with the voice of Keith David in filling a couple of his lines. More on that in a minute. And Gideon Emery as Weasel. The story for this one, following the Baron's defeat, Rapunzel and the group are ready to depart Varderos, but Rapunzel is unhappy to leave the city in a disastrous state. Matters worsen when Anthony the Weasel, the Baron's right-hand man, decides to take over Varderos as the new leader. Rapunzel and the group intervene, but Anthony promises to return in a few days to permanently take over the city. Rapunzel and the group stay to fight, but find no one is willing to help. Vex advises the group seek out Captain Quaid, the former sheriff of Varderos, who is now retired. Rapunzel and the group go to meet Quaid and convince him to come out of retirement to help save Varderos. Quaid is rusty after years of retirement, causing him to lose confidence in himself, but also believes Varderos is no longer worth saving. Rapunzel and the group retrain Quaid and secretly help him get his confidence back by faking a robbery. With renewed confidence, Quaid agrees to help and makes Vex his deputy, but changes his mind when he learns the robbery was faked, resulting in Vex, Rapunzel, and the group facing Anthony alone. Anthony returns with a bounty hunter, and while they originally have the upper hand against the group, Quaid returns alongside Vex, and they're victorious after inspiring the citizens to take back the city. Getting into the trivia for this episode title is similar to a season 1 episode, The Return of Strongbow. In this one, Quaid was the first person to ever arrest Eugene Fitzherbert and Lance Strongbow. Some of Quaid's dialogue in The Return of Quaid was done by Keith David, who you may know as the voice of Goliath in Gargoyles.
Yes.
He had to be brought in for a couple of lines because, unfortunately, not long after recording the lines for both this episode and the next one, Reg E. Cathy unfortunately passed away.
Yes.
And they left most of his lines intact, but some of the lines had to be rewritten afterwards, and Keith David came in to record those lines, and you can kind of tell if you know to listen for it. Vex was born sometime following Quaid's retirement. By the time of his return, she is a teenager, meaning Quaid had been out of commission for over a decade at least. And Quaid's office places a picture of the bearded woman who appeared in the episode Challenge of the Brave.
That's right.
So what are your thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was interesting that we're still in Varderos. Because in season 1, we really didn't do that. We just kind of kept going and going and going and going. We just have this adventure. Or correction, season
1, we stayed in Corona.
We stayed in Corona.
Entire season.
Yeah, which I thought was very interesting. And now that we're out, it's more, okay, we're staying in Varderos.
Well, they're acting like they're going to leave at the beginning, but then it's like, nope, we're going to hang out here for another episode.
And then they're in this one town for 4 episodes. Four episodes
as syndicated.
Yes.
Because I think I forgot to mention this last time, but Beyond the Corona Walls, while it was 2 episodes by our timeline, it was actually aired as 1 episode.
Yeah.
So 3 to 4 episodes. It's still a long time to stay in a town when you're on an adventure.
I agree.
Nothing on the entire season at Corona Castle, but
yes, there to someone who's watched all of season 2 and 3 now, there is a theme throughout season 2 of staying in places for extended periods.
Okay.
So just be prepared for that.
I will admit, because I think I talked about this on the episodes we never got around to releasing.
Yes.
I was fully expecting, when you showed me the clip that got us into doing this.
Oh yeah.
I was fully expecting every episode to be a journey. So our whole season in Corona, I kept thinking, okay, this is what we're doing. We're setting up relationships with all these characters. We're having a nice little thing where we have multiple characters that can come back and forth and all that kind of good stuff. And that was a good way to introduce a lot of these characters to us. So the minute we got to the end of season 1, and they were talking about leaving Corona to go on an adventure. I thought, okay, so every episode we're going to be in a new place. This is going to be like, I didn't think of it at the time, but since then I've seen the old TV show Wagon Train on and Rawhide. They're kind of similar in that every episode they're somewhere else. I was expecting that here. I thought we'd be in Varderos for Beyond the Corona Walls.
Okay.
For that, and then I thought this episode we would then maybe leave town and go somewhere else, and the story would come and an adventure this episode story might come up then. But no, we're still here.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, we do leave town for a bit to go to where Quaid's home is.
Yeah.
Out on the outskirts of Varderos, but we're still in Varderos.
Yeah.
So it just felt that feels like an odd choice. And having seen more of season 2, I know we do have a tendency to have these episodes centered in this area, and then episodes centered in this area, and then episodes centered in this area, and we don't get a lot of the journey in between.
Agreed.
Except we also sometimes do.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, do you know, I love this episode. It's where we're introduced to Quaid. We're introduced to there again. You have so much lore in this series where Quaid is he's a legendary outlaw, like you said in the intro, where Quaid was the first one to arrest our
Lance and Eugene.
Lance and Eugene. Thank you. I'm terrible with names. And so we get that. We get like all the when the Baron's defeated, then Big Nose decides he's going to be the Shorty, not Shorty, the guy who's going to try to take over the town.
Oh, Weasel.
Yeah, Weasel. I was thinking Big Nose. He's got a big nose.
No, so Big Nose is a different character.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Big Nose is back in Corona, falling in love with somebody.
That is true. That is so true. So Weasel is going to come back, and it's trying to get Quaid's his courage back up to be the man he once was, and all these great little hijinks pursuit of Sue. And there again, if you have not watched Tangle the series or Rapunzel's Tangle Adventure, go watch it. I don't know if you're still listening to this and you're like, what in the world's going on? Just queue up your Disney Plus account, which most people do have Disney, unless you're just one of those people who don't. Go watch it. Go watch from season 1 and then catch up with us. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. Because this is one of those series that was Disney did this wrong in so many ways that it needs justification. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is to give the show a little more light that people can go see it. And this show is worth it. It's one of these great shows, but either or. There again, the storytelling in this show, it's like sometimes it's silly because you got Lance be like he's overacting being the villain, and
that was funny to myself.
Oh yeah, I thought it was funny as could be. Do not get me wrong.
You were looking at the star of Varderos Community Theaters among the bushes. I was the bush. And you get to that part where he's going through the acting, and Eugene says, "Yeah, he wasn't any good as the bush either."
But it's just like the overall storytelling of this show, of this episode, is really well done. And Quaid just comes in spades and be like he realized, I left because of this villain who defeated me, and I became disheartened by it. And so he comes into the punch and just saves the day, and proves to the Varderos, the townspeople, that be like, hey, I'm still here and I can do my job very well. I will bring law and order back to this town. And that kind of leads a little into our next episode, but overall I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. My thoughts on the next episode later.
Okay. My thoughts on this, the storytelling I thought was done very well. They tell you exactly, this is the episode where we actually find out why how the Baron took over the town and
Mhm.
caused everything to become so essentially horrible.
Mhm.
Because at the beginning of the last one, they talked about how Varderos was this kind of cool place.
Oh yeah.
It was so great, and we get there. And of course, the joke is now it's run down and trashy and full of angry people.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode tells you why all that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it all comes down to it comes down to apathy.
Yeah.
And Quaid was unable to rally people to his side at that point.
True.
But apparently, now that they've lived for so long under the Baron, they like the idea of hope.
Yeah.
Even if they're, so yeah, it took a little bit for Quaid to get going and possibly a little bit of subterfuge on our heroes' part. But him getting back in, and I understand him getting disappointed that, the first one that his first day back on the job was all fake.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, he was actually rallying the town around him after that point.
Mm-hmm.
So he should, admittedly, people are weird in how they approach things.
Agreed.
But I think he was ready to come back. Now, my favorite joke throughout the whole thing is the bee pheromones.
Oh my gosh, yes. That was hilarious.
First off,
oh, poor Maximus.
poor Maximus.
Poor Maximus.
I like how they're showing off, you got this kind of honey that came from this kind of honey that came from that. He goes, what's this thing? Oh, that's bee pheromones. What are bee pheromones? Oh, they make they make the bees think that they have a new queen. And apparently it's Maximus. And that's funny for a quick bit, but then, it goes on for the rest of the story. You get back to the, after he's starting to rally the town together,
Mm-hmm.
and they're, drinking honey, or they're eating honey or drinking something there. I assume mead in actuality.
Yeah.
Even though it can't be officially be mead because that's alcoholic and this is a kid's show.
Yeah.
But, they're talking and someone says, actually, I think, and it's Lance that's taking a drink and says, and Quaid says, I think that's actually bee pheromones. And he spits it out all over Maximus. He says, what was that doing inside of a mug with a handle? What was it doing just sitting out in a mug with a handle? And of course, it's all over Maximus, and the bees are in love with the horse. Poor Maximus.
He just can't get to break it this entire episode.
Right. And I like how we see Vex go from being, this kind of apathetic character we saw in Beyond the Corona Walls, part 1 and 2, and at the beginning of this episode, and have her start to become inspired by Quaid herself to the point where she becomes the deputy.
Yeah.
And she's the one who has to stand up to the Collector without him because he's off being pouty.
Mm-hmm.
And she has to say, I can't believe I'm doing
this.
And of course, it's Eugene who says, that's what happens when you become one of the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Eugene, I bet you would know. You and your
Flynn Rider.
Yeah, Flynn. But I mean, the whole I like how this character the character of Vex will continue being kind of a positive character in the next episode.
Yeah,
also.
agreed.
So yeah, I enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to the next episode, which we should go ahead and get into.
Yes.
Right now. The next episode is Goodbye and Goodwill, directed by Doctor? I saw Steven.
Is there a doctor in the house?
I saw Steven.
Oh, okay. Not that kind of doctor.
Steven Strange. No, it's not. It's Steven Sandoval, and it's written by Ricky Roxburgh. And of course, guest stars Britt Robertson as Vex, and Reggie Cathy and Keith David as Captain Quaid. Rapunzel plans to bring the Goodwill Festival to Varderos before she finally gets herself out of town. But when the locals respond more favorably to Cassandra's ideas, Rapunzel becomes competitive.
You think?
In this episode, Rapunzel wears her original dress from the first season. And all probably because of the Goodwill Festival. I'm assuming that's actually a choice on her part in this one. But also, throughout both this episode and the previous one, a Varderos woman who keeps embarrassing Rapunzel by calling her a clod.
Yeah.
Is voiced by Eden Espinosa, a.k.a.
Cassandra.
Cass. It's Cass.
It's Cass.
I love that little bit of trivia out there. It's like you're finally getting out everything you didn't like about being stuck being this little bright ray of sunshine's handmaiden, aren't you? Even though you're not the character in this moment.
Oh my
So what
gosh.
that synopsis didn't get us into is the fact that they are setting up these Goodwill games
Yes.
that aren't going over very well.
Yeah.
And they have
Rapunzel.
sent out or Eugene has sent out 2 of his best gopher catchers, as he calls them,
Oh my gosh.
to go out and catch him a gopher for the
Hookfoot,
gopher catching event,
Lance.
which are Lance Strong and Hookfoot. Then apparently neither
No,
have
what a
seen
gopher!
a
looks
gopher.
for.
And admittedly,
They have a
of
gopher.
the group,
Yes,
these 2 were not in the Goodwill Games episode from the first season.
they weren't.
So they don't know what a gopher looks like. And the thing is, they find a gopher about halfway through this thing,
Yeah.
and they look at it compared to the drawing, goes, this can't be it. It's too cute. It's also not the size of the trees.
Yeah, it's called perspective, guys.
Well, I would say that he did. If he's going to use something for perspective, it should be something that's right next to it and not in the background.
True.
Which is why, from this point forward, they suggest having Rapunzel draw things from now on. And
Amen
not
to
him.
that. Amen to that.
But what they find, instead of a gopher
oh my gosh.
that they bring back for the gopher grab, is a sneeze weasel. Now, what is a sneeze weasel, you may be asking? Because that's obviously a fictional animal for
Right.
this show. Sneeze weasel, according to Shorty, of all people,
Yeah.
is an omnivore that naturally eats gophers, chipmunks, and voles. He failed to mention that they were, huge.
Death
mind you,
machines.
huge death machines. But also, he says that the reason he knows all this information
Because
is because he was one. And you look, it's like, yeah, sure, Shorty.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Well, he is shorty.
He is shorty.
He's a little short in everything else.
Yeah. And throughout the episode, we do get to see multiple, we get to see both of Rapunzel and Cassandra's events. Rapunzel's are more of the more normal fare
Yeah,
type.
very traditional.
Yeah, very traditional, nothing crazy. Cassandra's are things such as throw Shorty onto the honey wall, and whoever gets him to stick longer gets the
Wins.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the shouting contest. And that one guy is the one to beat, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And, just a couple more things that are much more up Vardaros's alley. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's much more successful about picking events. Of course, she's picking events that would have gone down very well at the Ugly Duckling,
Mm-hmm.
and not stuff that would have gone down in Corona proper.
Right.
So that's why it's working here, because this is definitely the Ugly Duckling town.
Yeah.
But things go over pretty well until it's time for the Gopher Grab event.
And then, of course, thanks, Eugene.
And Eugene has an idea, because he's been noticing that Cass and Rapunzel have been having some issues, and he remembered how Rapunzel got him and Cass to work together during a season 1 episode. And he does exactly what she did and imprisons them together. Of course, this time, instead of imprisoning them in a single cell, he puts a chain around both of them, around both their legs. And
So that they work in
so they
tandem.
have to work together. And they don't realize the real issue with this until the Sneeze Weasel escapes
Yeah.
and starts tearing up the town. And they both go about things the way they normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Rapunzel's going to go try to help Quaid. Cass is going to go try to take down Sneeze Weasel. And they both run off in different directions and fall flat on their faces. And so they realize they actually have to work together. And the way they stop the Sneeze Weasel is by launching him into the honey wall. Okay. I'd say they win.
Yeah.
And if I were Vardaros, I wouldn't let this crowd back into Vardaros anytime soon.
So true. So true. The one of the big draws for me this episode is definitely the conflict between Cassandra and Rapunzel. Is be like, obviously from episode 1 of season 2, you start realizing there is a friction forming between these two.
I'd say this friction has been forming really since Challenge of the Brave. I think it's the first time we really see this.
I would agree with you on that. And it's just be like it's being more drawn out. And there again, this is a very big plot point throughout this series. So just keep in mind with that. So it's be like them
considering the ways I've accidentally been spoiled.
Yes,
I'd say so.
Yes. We will get there when we get there, and it's gonna be a fun ride.
I'm just saying, when it turned into Attack on Titan for no apparently good reason. Actually, I don't think it turns into Attack on Titan.
It doesn't.
But
it doesn't. That would get weird really fast. But it's just like the point where these two characters, it's more like Rapunzel's trying to be like, oh, we need to do everything what we did in Corona because everyone's be happy because she's that kind of character. We got to make everybody happy. And Cassandra is looking at it. It's like, you know what? These people are not like Coronans. They're not like us.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of appeal to what they want. And it's just these two different ideologies going at each other. And it literally turns into a competition where they're extremely bitter at each other and they can't work together. And I love how they work that friction into these moments. And definitely when Eugene shackles them together where they have to work together and to get through their issue. And there again, story building, story plots, planting seeds to lead into what they're developing in the story going forward is just genius when it comes to the story. When it comes to the overarching story of this season, and even the entire series, it is very well done. And I really enjoy that when they do these little things, because you don't see that a lot in like most animated series.
Yeah,
they don't take that time,
especially a Disney princess show.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just like kudos for that. This is really well done. And having seen all of the season, oh my gosh, it's just played out so well. And yeah, love it. Love this episode. There's little bits here and there where it's just kind of, it's a little too hammy between the two. It's like, okay, I understand you're fighting like sisters, but some of it's just like, it's a little hammy, but overall I thoroughly enjoy the episode.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. So join us next time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side Dimensions, and we will also be reviewing what is the name of that episode?
The Forest of No Return.
Forest of No Return and Freebird next week. So join us then. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photo Bin to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
summarize, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And we're out.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a wild ride, and we actually got done at a good time.
We did actually.
Even with you being late.
Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Gotta go, gotta go, gotta
Go right now.
Gotta go,
Gotta go right.
gotta
Go
go.
right.
I hate
now.
that commercial. I haven't seen it in 10 years, 10, 15 years, but I hated that commercial.
All right.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us.
Yes.
We'll be back, of course, next week for more cell casting action with Yu-Gi-Oh! We'll see if Jacob learns about the heart of the cards by then. And I'm going to go find us somebody to raid. If I can hit the right buttons on here. I guess I'll head over to Book of Gaming. So I should have that up here so I can hear when we switch over.
Tab it over.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So see y'all guys later. Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Thanks, guys.
5 seconds until it lets me hit the button.
I'm impatient. Let me push it now.
Oh, hi, Geek Devotion. Sorry we're leaving now.
Yeah. Sorry. Bye. I don't want to raid.
Only 2 people came over.
Oh my gosh.
Of the 10, because we got raided at the last possible second.
Wow. Oh my gosh.